What's up, Liron here, and today we're reviewing another mini palette. What's up, Liron here. Thank you for joining me in another video. Today we're going to review this small palette sent to me by Dan Barrett from the UK. He's a UK-based painter that also, he loves watercolor. That's his main medium, and he makes these. So what I think we're going to do, and I'm going to show you some of these. So there are tons of swatches here, as well as the actual pans, which are really cute. Don't worry, I'm going to change the angle. We're going to look at these up close. First, I want to thank you, Dan, for sending these. Second, I'm going to put down there a link to his store, to his social media, so you can check it out. These are really cool because they're very unique pigments, and I just can't wait to give these a try. So what I think we're going to do differently to other videos, I'm not going to go too technical. What I'll do is swatch these out together with you, talk about a few things that are on my mind. We're going to treat this as kind of a half review, half maybe vlog, and I'm just going to give you some updates on some interesting things while testing these out, and then around the end I'll start maybe talking more about my thoughts on these, my first impression, and so on. There's a lot of cool things here, including the swatches as well as the explanation. I got a beard hair in my mouth, including the explanation, pigment, everything, so we can go over all of it. So let's get started. Okay, so let's get started, and I've got the palette here. It's very tiny, small, and nice looking. I love that decoration on the top. Now, there are a few interesting things here that I want to show you. First off, we have the swatches. Now, this is really cool because it has all of the information of all of the paints here. Okay, so we're going to set that aside. Now we have the actual pens. I'm going to go over them one by one. And finally, there are magnets, which is really cool, because then I can tape these onto the pens and then have them stick into the palette, which is really cool. So I think what we're gonna do is go over all of the colors here real quick. I don't wanna bore you unnecessarily with just a list of characteristics and stuff like that, but let's get started. So we've got the yellow ochre together with the swatch, and hopefully you can see this well. Again, I hate the way the light looks right now. So we have all of the information here. I'm going to hold these cards up so you can see them. And if you want to pause the screen, read a bit, you can. I'm not going to go too deep into everything here because mainly, as you know, I'm not this junkie of colors at times. I just love to keep things simple. So I want to make this fun for me. I love looking at the colors, but not necessarily reading everything. It's fun to nerd out sometimes, but not always. So here we have crimson. This, I think, is going to be a really beautiful one. Check it out. We've got, let's see here, Dan's blue ultramarine, which is not this one, this is the Cerulean. There we go, the ultramarine, which looks like this. Check it out. I love the veins and the granulations. Such a beautiful thing. Now here we have lemonade. Here we go, lemonade. We've got Midnight Rose, here we go. It's a bit harder to read, but hopefully you can tell. And if you want me to include more information about any of these paints, you just let me know in a comment, and I will. Here we have the Cerulean blue right here. Beautiful, beautiful color. I actually needed a Cerulean, so this is really good. And we have the Midnight Blue. So if you remember, we had the Midnight Rose, now it's the Midnight Blue. I think these are going to work really interestingly together. We have the Manganese Violet, and we're gonna, again, give all of these a try, so it's gonna be super fun. And we have the Sepia. And then, what the hell? I have a phthalo green here, but I don't have a phthalo green pen. But I'm just kidding, it's all cool. I assume he just added this one so that I can see it. But, you know, I got these as a gift, so I don't mind. No complaints. Now, the magnets also, Dan, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Where's another magnet? I'm just kidding. Thank you so much for sending me these. Here they are all together. Beautiful, beautiful colors, and I can't wait to start testing them out. So I'm gonna clear everything up, start prepping them, and then we'll get started. Okay, so just to entertain you a little more, I wanted to show you how I prepare one of these. So this is the crimson, beautiful paint, really. I think this is gonna be one of my favorites, and I'm gonna open it up with you together, because I know a lot of people wanna see that kind of thing. So here we go. I'm gonna rip through that a little carefully because I do want to keep these exterior ones just so that I'll probably remember what each pen is, but you know, just for me, I like sometimes to safe keep these. So here we go. Oh, there's another extra wrapping here. That's really interesting. Okay, let's get rid of that and all these golden flakes, and let's look at the paint. Now I'm curious. Oh, beautiful, and it also says it on the pan, which is really cool. So here we go. Okay, so this looks beautiful, just like I had hoped for and what I expected. So what I want to do is now remove the tape off of this thing. There's probably a double-sided glue or something like that. And I'm gonna stick it to the bottom like that. Let it press it, and now it magnetizes to my palette, which is really cool. I love that kind of thing. Both sides. Okay, now I'm gonna prep the other ones off camera because that'll be too much, and we'll start swatching these. Okay, so here we go. I've got all of the paints out of the little cute wrappings, and these are beautiful. So we have the lemonade, ochre, crimson. This is manganese violet, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, this is the manganese violet. We have this one's the sepia. This one is the midnight something. Was it midnight rose? Oh, good memory. We have the French ultramarine, cerulean blue, and the midnight something blue. Midnight blue. Yep, midnight blue. So these look really cool, and I'm gonna steal Tio's way of doing things, in which he's really zoomed in, and then you can see all the details. In fact, I'm gonna zoom in a little more. Okay, so I gave these a try, played around with them a bit. This is why they're a little dirty now, just because I wanted to know what to look for. Now, I reorganized the space, so we have a swatch for each and every one of those, and then later on we're gonna do some mixes. So let me zoom in on this area, and we're gonna look at these up close. And we're gonna start out with the lemonade, this yellow. And while I work, I'm gonna tell you, and I'm gonna swatch slowly and enjoy myself, because I never allow myself just the time to enjoy swatching. And while I do this, I want to talk to you about perfectionism. So a few days ago, we did a live stream for a Facebook group that's for drawing and sketching mainly. By the way, I wrote down the pigments for you because I know some people are interested in that, so that way you can go ahead and research these a little more. So one of the topics that came up in the live stream and we talked about a lot was perfectionism. I came there as a guest. They usually, I'm not a part of their usual streams, but this time someone was unavailable, and so I replaced for them. And we talked a bit about marketing and social media and watercolor, because there aren't too many people that work in watercolor in that group, so I'm like the most experienced there. And one of the main topics that came up was perfectionism and how this really cripples action in a lot of people. By the way, done with the lemonade, let's move on to the yellow ochre. And in the end, I'm going to talk a bit about more of my thoughts on each and every one. So in any case, and I told them, like, if I've had that same crippling perfectionism, I'd never be able to do half the things I did. Like, I have almost 500, I think, or 450 or 500 YouTube videos, and if I had allowed, you know, looking for the perfect shot and filming and refilming again, I would have never been able to produce so much content, not just on YouTube, on Instagram as well. You know, someone talked about lining up the shot for Instagram, for making it look perfect, and I was like, well, if you're using these terms of lining up the shot or perfect composition, like, that's cool if that's your artistic truth, but what I see is a lot of people use that as kind of an excuse or just question and doubt themselves because of these kinds of reasons, and end up not doing what they really should be doing, which is producing and sharing and you know, showing others what they're doing, really. By the way, this ochre is a little weak, so I'm working hard on producing a stronger value with it. That's just the way it is with some ochres. I've had ochres that were a little more. By the way, if you don't like this feature of yellow ochre, try raw sienna. They tend to be very similar, but the raw sienna is a little stronger naturally. So in any case, this is it. Now we're going to move on to crimson, my very favorite here. And so this thing with perfectionism, I think it's better to just get started with doing whatever it is you want to do without it being perfect. For example, you want to make YouTube videos, let's say. So just start, film one on your phone. I'm filming parts of my videos on my phone still. And give it a go and see how it goes. And then you'll get feedback. If you're lucky and you get like 50 views or 100 views on a video without an audience, then you'll get feedback from the viewers. And regardless of that, you yourself will see what there is to improve. And then the next time you can actually incorporate these improvements. But you don't have to speculate and guess beforehand. Another thing that I do that I think is really good is I don't decide for the audience. So I don't decide what people will enjoy or not enjoy. I just have this mindset of let's give it a go, let's try. And I'm gonna let the audience feedback tell me the story and tell me if they enjoyed it or not. So I'm just looking at feedback. How many comments a post or video gets, how many likes, what do people say in the comments? And that way I know. So for example, this is how I found out that people really like to see the stages of a painting in one picture. So imagine that's an Instagram post, and it has every quarter shows another stage of the painting. And had I not experimented and tried so many different things, this is PB60 by the way, because now it's not going to be visible soon. If I had not tried so many different things, I would never reach these insights. And if I was crippled by self-doubt and perfectionism, I would have never been able to do what I do. So that's the main thing here, and if this message helps someone here, then that's great as well. I want to share a post about that soon on Instagram too. Now we're moving on to the Manganese Violet. This one also takes a bit of work to produce a strong value, and I don't mind these blending in the swatches. I actually like the way it looks. Another thing I wanted to share with you is some good news, and that is, by the way, you let me know in the comments what's PV60. I'm not sure if it's the real manganese, because I know the real manganese is very uncommon because it's a bit more toxic, I guess. But in any case, good news. I submitted a few works to an IWS. IWS is the International Watercolor Society. It's a global organization dedicated to encouraging the use of watercolors and generally speaking. They do a lot of global and local exhibitions, competitions. So I submitted my paintings for a competition or an exhibition in Bulgaria, in Plovdiv, I believe the name of the place is. And it got accepted. And it's the scene from Acre Port. And if you've been following me on Instagram, which you should, and you also should follow Dan, and I'm going to put his username somewhere here. Then this is the work I did of the Acre Port, and if you've been following me on Instagram, you know what I'm talking about. But I will crop it up somewhere here, simply because I don't have the painting anymore. I gave it to the IWS representative yesterday, but I'm really pleased with this work, and I'm gonna show it there in July. Now it's nothing fancy. It's not a solo exhibition or anything like that. It's with a lot of other artists, but I'm really stoked because it's one of the very first times I'm showing my paintings, and it's the first time I'm showing my artwork outside Israel, which is really cool. I'm really grateful for this chance. So if you'll end up being there, then definitely come say hello. And if you're also taking part in the competition, then I'll be happy to meet you there. So now we move on to Dan's blue. By the way, the Midnight Rose that I just swatched is beautiful. I love that. One of my favorites probably here. So here we go. And the French Ultramarine as well, by the way, I forgot to mention. When I tested it out, it's such a beautiful color. It's a little brighter than some other French Ultramarines or Ultramarine blues that I've seen. For example, Daniel Smith's one's a little more muted, and it's like an ongoing theme with them. Their burnt sienna is also quite muted, so I don't know. Now we're off to Sepia. This one also takes a bit of work to produce a strong value, and I want to again reiterate, this is not a paid promotion or anything like that. Dan just reached out and asked if I want to review his paints, if I want to give them a try and possibly share them. And I'm just giving it to you as it is. So some paints here I love, some paints I don't like as much. But you can go over to his store and get the ones that you think you will like. Like this one's really good. And if you can get these for a good price, then I highly recommend it because these are really good quality, it seems. And you also get, again, these things that explain to you the properties of each one, so you can do your own research. So yeah, sepia, as I said, it's a bit weaker as well. It takes a bit of work to produce a strong pigment, but not as much as the ochre. This is a bit darker. And again, a cool trick if you want to know how dark a paint is going to get, just take a look at the way it looks on the pen. So for example, the lemonade, you can tell it's not going to get as dark. Same goes for the ochre. These are pretty light. But if you look at, for example, the midnight blue or the midnight rose or even the manganese, these you can tell they're going to get super dark. Another paint that you know won't get dark is the Cerulean. Check it out. This is so light. Because you have to understand, the pen is like tons of layers. It's like a glaze over glaze over glaze over glaze, and this is what happens. So it's a good indication of how dark the paint can get or can't get. So now we're going to do the Cerulean, and Ceruleans tend to be quite weak. I don't know if it's because most of them are hues and not the original pigment, but as far as I know, every Cerulean I tried so far ended up being a little weak. The artist that introduced me to Ceruleans was actually Patrick Lee Greaves from Pure Watercolor, an excellent painting channel. And from him I learned a lot about this particular paint and wanted to use it. But I for some reason never had a lot of these. I don't know why. I should get some more of these. So now I have one, which I'm very pleased with. So let me zoom out, show you all of the results, and then we're going to do some mixes. So here's everything together. I also matched it with the way I ordered them on the palette, and I like this a lot. So the next stage would be to try some mixes, and I think I'm gonna leave the zoom in level the same as it is right now. So let's try to produce some greens. So I'm gonna put a bit of the lemonade here, and then let's add to that a bit of the midnight blue. Midnight blue really reminds me of indigo. Daniel Smith's indigo that I tried is really similar to this one. And this will produce some more artificial, happier, if you will, greens, okay? But if you'll notice, now I'm going to do the same but with French ultramarine or with Dan's blue, as he calls it, and you'll notice how you get a bit more of a muted, just ever so slightly, more neutral green. It's really a small difference. But if I'm gonna throw the ochre in there, we're gonna get an even more muted mix, which I love. So let's give that a go. So I'm gonna put in some ochre here, and I have to dig it up really, really strongly just to get the strong value that I'm after. And then I'm gonna grab some of the that indigo-like midnight blue and check it out. This is a beautiful, much more muted green. And these kinds of greens and yellows work perfectly for landscapes, which is why I love them. Like natural landscapes, hills, mountains, fields, crops, all of those good stuff that I really like, by the way, painting. These are excellent for that. Let's try that out with the ultramarine here. So a lot of ultramarine, a lot of ochre, and you'll get the same kind of muted green, which is typical of ochre, like whatever you do. By the way, again, if you don't like the ochre being a little weak, try out raw sienna. They are a lot different. Now I'm going to try some oranges. So let's start with this crimson that I like a lot. I'm going to add a bit of lemonade to that, and let's see what we get. So we get this nice, interesting orangey look. Let's connect that here with the lemonade. Let's now go for this midnight rose. Let's see what this looks like. So this will give us a bit of a, I think, muted orange. Not really that strong, but you can see this is a beautiful transition. So there's a lot of beauty to those. Let's try out, what combination should we try? Let's try Cerulean with something. Let's try Cerulean with crimson. That my gut tells me these will neutralize each other to some extent and create a gray. Because that's usually the case with these bright reds and bright blues. So you do get a bit of a muted color here. I want to try to produce some purple, and we're going to use midnight blue and a bit of crimson. Let's see what will happen. So this is a more muted one, but if we're going to use the same midnight blue together with midnight rose, then we get this nice deep purple. And I'm always accused of using too much purple, so I'm not going to use it too much, I guess. I'm going to try and avoid that. Let's try out the ultramarine with what will be interesting? Let's try it with the sepia. You know what? Let's see what happens. So a bit of ultramarine, a bit of sepia that's, again, a little weaker. And this is nice. This is a nice transition of warm and cool. This could also work just for a duochrome painting, meaning just two colors. So we see a lot of good things about these paints that I like. Let me zoom out and kind of conclude this and talk about everything we talked about. So here we have everything, including the palette. I will say that, you know, I'm not a big fan of cool yellows. So I'm not a big fan of lemonade, but if you are, then you probably will be, because it is beautiful. I'm just holding it up because then less light is reflected. So the lemonade, I think, could be beautiful if that's what you like. I love the yellow ochre, and I think this could be really good for an underpainting because it's quite weak. This is my favorite, probably, from all of these. The crimson I love a lot. These two are excellent as well. This one, the Cerulean, I like because I haven't tried a lot of them. So I will say I'm not a big fan of the Manganese Violet, of the Sepia, and of the Lemonade. But it may be attributed more to my personal taste. So I don't know. The Midnight Rose is beautiful. The Ultramarine is beautiful. So a lot of paints here that I'm actually really looking forward to incorporating. Just dipped my finger into the Crimson, which is like the softest here. So that's a fun little thing. I'm gonna wash it off. But in any case, I'm really looking forward to giving these a try, especially I think plein-air, because this is such a small and minimalistic palette that it could be really interesting to give it a try. Notice how I mixed everything on the paper here. I haven't tried mixing here yet, but I think it could work nicely. I think you could try and put something here to make it a little whiter so that it's easier to tell what you're mixing. But I don't mind that a lot because I love mixing on paper anyway, and I tend to mix on paper a lot, like most of the time. Usually I'll use the palette area just to make a large quantity of the same paint, not necessarily to mix. So in any case, we talked about a lot of things today. We talked about perfectionism and letting go of that and really starting to get in motion and only then trying to improve. We talked about the IWS in Bulgaria, which was a really nice thing that I wanted to update you about. And if you're going to be there, it's going to be really cool. And these paints that are really wonderful, I'm going to link down again below Dan's profiles and social media and his store so you can check it out. I believe his username on Instagram is penholderartuk. So definitely check that out. I want to thank you so much, and now we're going to wrap it up face to face. So this is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this one. I want to thank Dan so much for sending me these. Again, this is not a paid promotion or anything like that, but he did give me these for free so that I can show them. Dan, thank you so much. And I love supporting small creators and small scale watercolor producers. So definitely make sure you check out his store below if you enjoyed any of these paints. And I can tell you, look at the sheen on them. Hopefully you can tell. These are wonderful. They re-wet really easily. Again, some of these I like more than others. That's a bit more of a personal taste thing, I guess. I will say that the sepia was a little too weak for my taste. I would have preferred it to be a little darker. And same for the ochre, but the ochre, it's quite common with ochre. So in any case, really enjoyed using these. I hope you enjoyed hearing me talk a bit and ramble and give you some updates. I'm gonna put somewhere here the painting, probably here, the painting that I shared, that I submitted to Bulgaria. And again, if you're gonna be there, that's really cool. I'm gonna keep you updated on that. Also, check it out. I reorganized my studio, so now there are a couple of really nice things. Here in the background, I have this face. I have Hershey, that if you're following me on Instagram, you know what I'm talking about. I have this nice souvenir from Ohio, this little eagle I got from Canada, and the globe, and a beautiful frame, wooden frame for framing a painting that I just liked. And the guy that does the framing for me asked if I wanted. He had nothing to do with it, and I was like, it looks quite swag, so I'm gonna put it there. So in any case, I hope you enjoyed this one. I did it a little differently because I usually, and let me show you the result as I wrap it up, because sometimes I just don't enjoy talking about the characteristics of the paint and totally nerding out about it. Sometimes I'll enjoy it, sometimes I'm not. Today I was just in the mood of trying these out, talking to you, enjoying the swatching, because it's something I don't do as much. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know what your thoughts are in a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell button, because if you subscribe, it means nothing. YouTube does not promote my videos and they want to keep me down, so help me rise up. I'm just kidding. I love YouTube and hate them at the same time. In any case, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Also, one last thing I wanted to say. Thank you so much for your feedback on the Cesar Santos interview. Means the world to me, and I read all your comments and I'm gonna reply to every single one of them. Okay, I have a huge backlog, but I promise to reply to everything. I really appreciate the support and the kind comments. You're the best audience ever. Thank you so much, and I will see you again in another video real soon.